So last time we eliminated the judder spring on this bike, which eliminated some of our clutch throw. However, this week we're going to get some of it back right up there. And we're going to do that with a new clutch lever. Now there's lots of clutch lever options out there. Most of them honestly are for looks, but there are a couple out there that actually do improve the handling and the feel of the clutch, which is exactly what we're going to do, but not in the way you would expect. But before we get into all of that, let me explain how a clutch lever actually provides clutch feel and throw. A clutch lever is a basic mechanic of physics. Levers apply force on one end to another from a pivot point, and the amount of force depends on the location of that point. And with the clutch lever, that force is applied here at the cable. So one of the ways you can change the throw is to move the point at which the cable is attached. Or you can change the transfer of that force from pulling a metal cable to pushing fluid, like you would your front brake. And changing that force transfer into a liquid means adding a hydraulic clutch. And today, we're not doing that. Instead, we're going with a stunt clutch. So does that mean I'm going to start stunting? Maybe, but no. Just because this is marketed as a stunt lever doesn't mean it needs to be for stunts only. You can use this for dual sporting, motocross, any application. So this is the stunt clutch lever from RSC. If you're in the stunting community, you know these things really, really well. Pretty much any stunt bike that you see out there anywhere will have a variation of this lever. You can get them in different colors, and you can also get them in different lengths here, depending on how many fingers you want to use to engage the clutch lever. They go all the way down from 1 all the way up to 4, which is pretty much as close as you can get to a full stock. In this case, I went with a 3-finger clutch pull. Just going off of what I saw on comments online is that the lever arm here is actually a little bit shorter than you would expect given the number of fingers that they're requesting. So normally I use 2 fingers, but in this case the lever just seems a little shorter for my taste, and with 2 fingers this is still perfect. Not only is the RSC lever a cool piece of bling, but it's built really well. There's bearings in the lever here, so the lever pull feels effortless. Obviously there's no tension on it now, but even with a clutch cable attached, I'm sure this is just going to feel like butter. And speaking of the clutch cable, on the back side, like I mentioned earlier, there's actually 2 attachment points here for the clutch cable, so with each attachment point you get a different throw. Speaking of throw, let's throw this on the bike. I say throw it on, but first we got to address the clutch switch. So there's a wire right here that comes from the clutch lever, the OEM one, and it goes down behind the headlight. So we got to pull that off and just connect the 2 bullet connectors together underneath the headlight. That way it's tucked up and out of the way. Success. Well, here's something I didn't even think about, but if you're running the OEM rearview mirror or even just an aftermarket one with this post, you're gonna have to find another option because this is going away. Can you hear this? Let me bring it up to the mic. Yeah, that's from an OEM clutch lever that's only been on here for a year. Absolutely silent. There is a specific way of putting this on actually that I've found. When it sandwiches together like this, there's actually a little gap only at the bottom. That's where it goes, the bottom. So make sure that you align that properly. Basically, it looks like what they want you to do is tighten the top one up here all the way and then use the bottom one as the clamping. I think that's good for now. I'll change it up really once I get riding, but mounted. Now we're ready to fit the cable. As you can see here, I've gotten everything aligned so it'll fit in nicely. But now it's decision time. We have to attach the cable, but which of these 2 do we attach to? The one at the bottom here is going to be considered your OEM position, the one that's closest to the throw that you would normally expect with an OEM lever. However, you can go to this one that's up closer to the pivoting arm for more of a clutch throw, because the closer you are to the pivoting arm, the more of an impact you have out at the end of the lever. I want to try both of these positions, but for the biggest impact, let's start with the one closest to the pivoting arm. Oh my God, this is magical. Why did I not do this sooner? There's no other way to say it except that this clutch pull is just absolutely magical. It feels so smooth, so effortless. Oh, it just glides off of my fingers. Credit where credit is due, honestly, because there's some things like you don't really think that you can improve upon just a simple mechanical concept, just a lever, but The care and the engineering that went into this piece, it really does show. It is worth every penny. As you can maybe see, my rough adjustment right here at the cable is pretty much maxed out because there was so much slack in this thing. I needed to maximize this as much as possible in order to get the correct tension up front. I was going to complain about that, but I actually found a solution already on RSC's website. They actually sell, in addition to spacers here, if you want the clutch pull to be a little further away, they also have a dirt bike spacer for the clutch perch. So I have since purchased that. It's on the way, and that should take up my slack. That way I don't have to have as much of a course adjustment right here. So as I did in my last episode, I filmed the before and after of the clutch throw, how long it is. And this time I did it with the normal position and the extended position. And as you would expect, with an extended position, you get extended throw, that much more. And I really like the extended throw. It pretty much gave me back what I lost in losing the judder spring. However, this time, now that I don't have the judder spring in there, that throw is extended, but is much more predictable, not as vague as it once was. I mean, check this out. This is how tight and how slow of a turn I can do now with this engaging clutch pull. It's almost like I'm riding it on the clutch and not the throttle. This is full lock, and this is especially important when you're standing up. Particularly with this bike, being an off-road bike, you will be riding this standing up, and when you stand up, your arm position is different, so you have to kind of extend your fingers a little bit more in an uncomfortable way to engage the clutch. But the clutch engagement, not only the extended throw, but the easy pull lever is just so effortless that even though it's a little cumbersome when you stand up, it's not as noticeable. Definitely not as much as the OEM one when you have a traditional cable pull like this. Absolutely beautiful. Highly, highly, highly recommend this clutch lever. It is fantastic. I'm going to chalk this up to one of those that I wish I'd gotten this sooner. Had I known, this would probably be one of the first modifications that I did when I went through the whole bar setup. Great clutch feel, excellent ergonomics, extended clutch throw, everything you would want in a clutch lever. And you can even use it for stunting. Oh man. It's funny, with this review, there's so many positive things I can say about it. There's no negatives. People are going to think that this is sponsored. I wish this was sponsored. RSC, if you're watching this, if you're listening, please, I have a Grom, and a Grom that does not have one of these, so call me.